Chumash and Rashi, Parshas, Korach. We continue with the fifth reading. And to continuing, what did Korach and his gang do? They were contesting the Kohen Gadol, the Kahuna, the high priest of Aaron. So now this is the aftermath. Vidaber Hashem al Moshe Lemar, and Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, Daber Bnei Israel, speak to the Israelites, Vikach mi'itam, and take from them mata, a staff like in a stick, right? Mata lebeis avos, a staff for each base, lebeis av, rather, to the father's house, Meis, Kol Nisi Aham, from all of the leaders, all the princes, meaning the leaders, Lebeis Avosam, to their father's home, Shnei Masar, 12, as there's 12 matos, 12 tribes, 12 matos here, 12 staffs. So the word matos means tribes, it means staff, right? Because it's a branch from the tree that now became hardened as a staff. Ish as shmai, each man his name. Tichtov, you shall write. Tichtov means to write, you shall write. Al matehu, on his staff. Write his name on the staff. Veshem Aaron, in the name of Aaron, Tichtov al mate Levi, write on the staff of Levi. For there is one staff for each head of the homes of their fathers. Rashi in number 18. There's only one staff. He locked him. Although you divided the shtei mishpachos into two families, mishpachas Kohen Levad, there's the priesthood itself, a Levi, a Levad, and the family of the Levites, right? We call Malcolm nonetheless, Shevet Echad, but it's a single tribe. They both come from a single tribe. In other words, they are divided in their tasks and duties, exactly. So you might think that therefore you have to have one for each of them. No, they're one tribe, right? So we have a bit of a problem here, though. What's the problem? Sure. No, the problem is Levi is never counted as one of the 12 tribes, right? When you have the 12 tribes around in the formation, you have, right, 3, 3, 3, 3. Where's Levi? He's not counted in that 12. He's in the middle. Levi's in the middle, right? So 12 tribes. So then how do you get 12 staffs? It should be 13. If Levi's included, it should be 13. Right? Huh? They're not half tribes, they're full tribes. They're not half. Yosef is divided into two tribes, right? They're not now being less, they're not now coming together as one tribe. They're not. They're two separate tribes. So the question is, why doesn't Rashi say anything?
Obvious question. Rashi doesn't bring.
Unless it's so obvious that the answer is that there is 13. This is the 13th. 12 from the 12 leaders, and then you're adding Aaron to his own staff. Maybe it's just so simple and so obvious as that. Well, because it's 12 of the 12 leaders, right? Plus Aaron. Plus.
Where do you take that out from the liquid? Where do you see that?
The es shem Aaron, it's a little deichik. It's a little pushing it. It's a little pushing it because it doesn't sound that way. Because shem Aaron tichtayv, it makes it sound like the name of Aaron is one of the 12, right? Because look at the way 18 is a continuation of 17, right? Ve'eshem Aaron, and the name, not and Aaron's staff you write on. It's like write the name of Aaron. Yeah, it sounds like it's a continuation of the previous one on one of the 12. That's what it sounds like. Huh?
And it finishes Al Mate Levi, and it finishes Kimata Echad L'Reish Beis Avesa.
Okay, that already Rashi explained that we're not dividing Levi into two, not into Kohun and Leviah, right? Until Levium. That's a separate thing, right?
Could understand that is contradicting the idea that there's another staff.
It's contradiction because of the beginning of the verse. The Eshem Aaron and the name of Aaron, not the Mata of Aaron. If it's an addition, seemingly it should say, and the Mata of Aaron, right?
Right.
It should start that way, but it doesn't. So it makes it sound like Aaron's name is on one of the 12 that were just mentioned.
And
Unless you want to say Tichtev al Mata Levi on the Mata of Levi. You know what? Yeah, maybe it is still the addition. Anyway, let's see if the Rebbe brings it up.
sounds like 13, right?
Huh?
Sounds like 13.
Yeah. Okay, 19. Verse 19. V'nachtam, and you shall place them ba'oyel mayed in the tent of meeting, lifnei ha'edus, before the testimony, asher yivayid lachem shama, that I will commune. It translates over here, or meet with you. Yeah. That I will meet with you there. 20. V'haya, and it will be ha'ish, the man, asher evchar boy, that I'm going to choose him. Matehu yifrach, his staff will flower, will blossom. She koisi me alai, and I will cause, he says here, a calm me alai from upon me, as Tinlunas B'nai Israel, from the complaints of the Jewish people. Remember, they complained about
Firstborn.
No, what firstborn? We're not talking about
No,
firstborn.
the firstborn be-
No,
Why should we
we're not that. Where's firstborn? No firstborn mentioned at all. But they complained because of the deaths, right? That's what yesterday we learned. Because the Keteris, the incense was bringing death, right?
I thought the whole thing was because they were contesting Aaron as Cohen.
No. That was that was Korach, not no,
Dase.
and Dasan and Aviram, and the 250.
Yeah.
The rest of the Jewish people didn't complain about. They complained that there was death. That look what happened. This incense brought death to Nadav and Avihu, brought death now to the 250 and all the families, right? They brought death to them. Well, actually brought for the 250 because they, from their incense, it brought death, right? So they were complaining about that. So God said, no, it's not that what kills. Sin is what kills, right? And that's when the plague started, right? That was yesterday. So that was their complaint. Their complaint is, this service is bringing death. Okay.
Over here?
No, that was yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Well, now it's all about Aaron.
Now it's about showing clearly to everybody that Aaron is the chosen one. Okay. So we just did verse 20, right? So what he wants to do is this staff, right, will be the one I will choose. It's going to blossom, and it's going to bring a closure. It's going to bring subside the complaints of the Israelites, right? Let's see, Rashi, Kaisi, and I will subside, cause to subside. Kamoi v'yasheiko hamayim, like the water subsided. Hamas amel shachacha, the king's rage subsided. Just showing that the word means to lessen it, to create a calmness, right? Moshe b'nei Israel, and Moshe now came to speak to the Jewish people. V'yitnu, Ela, and they gave to him Kol Nesiya Mate L'Nasi Echad. All of the, maybe we're going to see over here. Let's see these words over here. All of the princes, each one of them, Nasi Echad, each single one of the leaders, Mate, they gave a staff, Lenasi Echad, for one prince, Lebeis Avaisam, to their father's home, Shnei Masar, Mates. Here it is. Here it is. And 12 of them, Mata Arim, is amongst them. What is that now? That actually, does that mean amongst them is the 13th or one of them? Let's see Rashi. B'seich Mataisam. Rashi says, Hinicha be'emtza means a place in the center. You should not be able to say, because it was laid, it's had Shechina, to the side of the Shechina, meaning, closer to the divine presence. Parach, that's why it blossomed. But it was put in the middle. So Rashi here is showing the Seicha means the 13th. It's the 13th. Because you could have read the Seicham, the Seich, right? Amongst the matas, meaning one of the 12. Rashi said, no, that doesn't mean one of the 12. It means in the middle of the 12. So it means it's a plus, it's a 13.
The thing is that the whole idea means that even before the result of the test, it's a foregone.
Well, because God said so. Because God said to Moshe already.
Right, it's a foregone.
Well, yeah.
Even his staff is not included in the 12. It's put amongst the 12. But his staff is a whole different thing.
Well, why is it? A staff is a staff.
It's not in the 12. It's another thing. It's his staff.
Fine, but everybody's giving their staff.
He's putting it in the midst of the other.
Okay, but why? It's foregone conclusion because God said, the one who I've chosen, it will blossom.
Right. When the blossom comes.
Right.
And so in a way, his staff doesn't count in the 12.
Well, what do you mean by that?
It's placed in the 12.
Yeah. Of course it's not. Of course it's not.
13.
It's a 13. Yeah. 22. V'yanach Moshe places matis as hamatis, the staffs lifnei Hashem, before God, but oil edus, in the oil of testimony, the tent of testimony. Interesting. Yeah, sometimes oil mayed, sometimes oil made edus, sometimes the Mishkan. It's different, right? Different terms that are used, bringing out and what the distinction is. Good question. Okay, 23. And it was the following day. And Moshe came and he came to the tent of testimony. And behold, Parach blossomed. Mate, the staff Aaron of Aaron, the base Levi, to the house of Levi. Yaitse Parach, and it gave blossom. Yatzeit seeds, it sprouted buds. The Yigmol Shkedim, and it produced ripe almonds. That's funny. Guess what I bought last night? Almonds. I was in IGA and I went and bought almonds last night, not thinking of this. All right. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam shehakol ni'mivarai.
Obey.
L'chaim v'bracha. I also bought pecans, so I don't know if pecans are going to show up here. I don't think so. They're not going to show up, huh?
Did you eat any?
No, not yet, but I'm going to today now. Okay, 23. Yetze Perach, and it came out. It brought out. It came forth. Blossom should be on this mashmai as it sounds. Simply. What does it mean? Huh?
Why did you have to comment on that?
That's a good question. I'm also thinking that.
And that's the first to write it, right?
Well, let's see Rashi. And it developed into almonds. When the fruit is identified, hukar. Shehem Shkedim, it's perceived that there are almonds. Lushem, in other words, I guess before they blossom fully, you can't tell that they're an almond. Is that what it means? I don't know. I'm not certain of what he means to say by that. Huh? Lashem v'yigdal ha'yeled v'yigamal. Oh, you see, the gum. All right, and it's a language. He's going on the word gamal, right? Which is a child grew and was weaned, right? In other words, when is the next development stage of a child? After they're weaned, right? That's when they're sort of like a completion. So this is the idea of completion. This word is also found from the fruit of the tree. In Isaiah, it says the developing fruit is its sprouts shall be. And why did it turn into Aaron's staff sprout almonds specifically? Because it's a fruit that it quickens to blossom. From all fruits. So to one who raises objections regarding the priesthood, his punishment hastens to come. As we seen by the king Uzziah, that with his anger at the Kohanim that he had, tzaras shone on his forehead. And Targumai and Unkelis's explanation is kapisa shigdilim, it bound almonds, meaning kamin eshkol shgedim yachad, means a cluster of almonds together, that were bound up one on top of the other. Right, one on top of the other. No, leave that. Thank you. All right. So it's quick, right? So it took a day, even though usually it takes like 21 days. Here it took 1 day. It took out all of the staffs before God, El Kol B'nai Yisrael, to the entire Jewish people, the Israelites. When they saw, and each one took his staff. Huh? It's a cliffhanger.
So when they were asked to present their staffs, did they know that the staff came from branches of a tree, or it was?
No, it's not a staff from an almond tree. Why are you saying that?
Staffs.
No, a staff is a piece of wood that comes from a branch of a tree, right? Why? Who says it was an almond tree branch? Why are you suggesting that? Who said? Just because it sprout. It's a miracle that happened, right? Because it's not attached to the tree. Okay, you look up and see. Let's see what an almond tree looks like. I bet you. I don't know if you're going to get a staff from there. If you're going to take a branch from it, will it be a staff? Will it? I wonder.
Yeah, but
Hey, ask Chat GPT.
That's not that piece of work. It's not a dead piece of work.
what a staff?
The staff. In its themselves.
It doesn't.
Because the right.
No, the miracle is still right. That is a miracle.
That's a miracle. But the writing. Again. Yeah, but there still have to be an organic staff for it to bear fruit.
Yeah, but what I will ask is that they know, what was it a case where those staffs were made came from other types of trees or from other trees, or or any piece of wood they found. That's what
I think it was the almond trees that are very about piece of. So this was the first of the almond trees to lost.
It could have been a case where our staff was not an almond tree from an almond. But the miracle is it's from an almond.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right. There's too many good things here from the Rebbe, so let's focus. Okay. So the Rebbe asked a very simple question. What did God have to do a miracle over here? Another miracle to prove that Aaron is a Kohen Gadol. Like, come on. I mean, wait, you look what happened to Korach. He gets swallowed up. Look what happened to the 250, right? I mean, like, it's not proof enough, right? Not proof enough that Aaron is a Kohen Gadol. Why is this necessary?
People who stubborn.
Is that the words of Radak? You're the Radak of David Khan? Radak. There's already a Radak, so you can't be him.
Is that very good?
No.
Oh, so
She paid it for the food, and somebody should bring them up when they're afraid.
that's it, the chance is not there.
Yeah, I think there's some, there must be some in the freezer downstairs.
Oh, downstairs.
Yeah,
Oh,
but they're gonna be raw starved.
oh,
But you should.
I'm
not sure I'm not tomorrow.
I can say so.
Thank you. I'm fine. Thank you. But not from the other ones.
No, you want?
Here.
You want?
Yeah, okay, okay.
So the Rebbe asked another question. If you look at the process, the whole thing is miraculous, right? The whole thing is miraculous, right?
We have more, Rabbi. Don't worry about
Huh?
it. We have more.
I'm not worried at all. I'm just worried about learning right now.
Pesach. The machine doesn't work.
Mr. Costa,
The machine doesn't work. Tablets. They don't work.
you want coffee?
There's no coffee.
There's coffee here.
No, L'chaim.
No, it doesn't work.
Hello, whoa, what happened, everybody? Some food came out, and we went to
It's
bananas.
filling out the water for the Korach for the single capsules, but there's no tablet, it doesn't work, so it shouldn't.
All right. So a miracle happened, but yet the miracle happened if you see in a process of the way the fruit, the almonds occur. That it was at first it budded, then it fell off, and it was full and complete. In other words, it went like through the process, like it didn't go poof full. It went through the process of the way it would naturally go very quickly. But the whole thing's a miracle. Why did it go through the process? The natural process. If you look at the verse. So the Rebbe explains. The miracles that happen with Korach and his groupies, that they were swallowed up. They got right. Some got swallowed up. Some got burnt in the fire of their incense. Shows to the Bnei Yisrael that would beyond the question that Aaron was not chosen on his own, on his own choosing, right? That God chose that he should be the Kohen Gadol, and the Kohanim come from him, right? However, that doesn't take away the complaint of the Jewish people entirely. Why? Because it's still a complaint that can be made that Aaron is not befitting on his own merit. Okay, God chose him because God can choose him. But where is his merit to this? Right? In other words, he was chosen for an other reason, not because he is the chosen one. Guys, hello. Let's not get carried away here. Get carried away with Rashi, with the Rebbe's explanation. Yes. So, in other words, he's not worthy on his own It could be that Moshe, it's his brother, so he asked God, please give my brother a position. So you might think that, so in other words, there was still that complaint by the Jewish people. There wasn't a complaint that whether he's a Kohen Gadol or not. He's a Kohen Gadol. God chose him. There's not a question about that. We see the miracle of God, what God did. That's no question. But the question is, Aaron, are you really worthy of that position on your own stead? Right? That was the question. In order to take away that complaint, right, that he has his own merit on his own, it wasn't for any side reasoning, right, ulterior motive that he was chosen, right? That's why he chose the mata, he chose the staff, and the miracle that happened with it, right, that it wasn't a miracle. It was a miracle, but it went through the natural process of how it grows on the staff. It went through that process to show to hint to the Jewish people that the choosingness of Aaron was connected with his personal natural qualities. Right? So therefore, it grew in a natural way. Again, miraculously, but in the process was a natural way, right? That his virtues, his natural virtues, his God-given natural virtues, shall we say, right? Bring out the fact that he is personally unique and special. And that it's his mate, right? They expressed the flowering. He's blossomed. He's the blossomed one, not the others, right? And then the blossoming is a natural way, meaning of him, not like imposed upon him. Like it wasn't like, given from heaven. And even heaven gives you natural qualities, but he blossomed those qualities in and of himself. And therefore he is personally worthy. Wow. Is that amazing? Is that amazing or what? Okay, there's more to go over here, but we got